to Eye on Horror, the official podcast of iHorror.com. This is episode 53, otherwise known as season 3, episode 17. And I am your host, James J. Edwards, and with me, as always, is your other host, Jacob Davison. How you doing, Jacob?
About the same.
Nothing changes?
Does anything these days?
And also with us, speaking of not changing, also with us again is your other host, John Correa. How you doing, Correa?
Wait, who? I've changed my clothes. What are you talking about?
I mean, speaking of nothing changing, meaning it's still the three of us.
Oh, okay. I mean, yes, I've been wearing the same sweatpants joggers for the last week or so, but that's because they're trick or treat themed from Cavity Colors, you know? They are super comfy and awesome. We are not endorsed by them, but god damn it, do I love these pants.
We're not endorsed by anybody. If you send us stuff, we'll talk you up.
If we like it.
Anyway.
Please bribe us.
We haven't been endorsed by Shudder, but we sell the crap out of them.
Oh my god. Hold on. I just watched the best thing on Shudder, so I'm so excited to talk about it. But yeah, no, you
right,
do your thing.
Well, let's get into it. What have you guys been doing? Go, Korea. What did you watch on Shudder?
So it just went on Shudder this week, but the movie Scare Me. Have you guys heard of this?
Yeah, it's been on my watch list.
It's got Aya Cash from You're the Worst and The Boys Season 2, which also The Boys Season 2 was awesome, but that's not really horror. We've talked about superhero shit before, but we're not going to get into The Boys. We're going to talk about Scare Me. It is absolutely phenomenal. It is the premise of it is this writer goes to a cabin in the woods to write his next novel, where he meets another author played by Aya Cash, and she's a successful writer who wrote one of the most popular horror books to come out recently, and he's just struggling to kind of write his first. They get a power outage, and so they spend the night telling telling scary stories to each other. And
is it an anthology then?
It is not. It's literally almost the entire movie is them acting out scary movies, and the filmmakers will do fun stuff, like they'll change the lighting, or if they're talking and they're like, and the werewolf is going up the stairs, they'll start playing like donk donk sound effects and having like a gnarly werewolf growl, and like it's really good. Chris Redd from SNL pops up at a certain point and just injects I've seen him in a few things, mostly Popstar. Liked him in Popstar. Absolutely loved him in this movie. He added such great energy to it. It's really funny.
Is this a remake? I feel like there was a movie like not that long ago, maybe a couple years ago, that was basically the same premise, but it was a bunch of teenage kids, not two authors.
Huh.
And I think it was even called Scare Me.
I don't know. I don't know if it was a remake or if it's just like very similarly plotted.
And it's such a generic name, they could use the name.
Right, exactly.
Because I think there was another movie called Scare Me that was almost the same concept, but hey.
Hey, I mean, telling ghost stories isn't the most original idea, but like because you're so focused on these two actors for so much of the movie. Like Lindsay even said it at the very beginning. She's like, this guy he does a lot of weird stuff with his face. Like, he's very expressive, but it works really well when he's telling stories, you know? When he's just sitting there by himself typing, it's like, oh, this guy's a weirdo. But then he starts telling the stories, and it's like, oh, man, his big facial expressions really help sell the stories he's telling. But it's a lot of fun. There's some genuinely, like, creepy moments throughout. So, yeah, if you have Shudder, I highly recommend it.
Have either of you guys... we did actually a giveaway... to see these at the drive-in. Have either of you guys dove into the Welcome to the Blumhouse movies on Prime?
Not yet.
Have you seen any of them, Korea? I've actually gone through all four of them. There are four of them. I think this has taken the place of Hulu's Into the Dark, because they're basically just these rookie... I think Blumhouse is developing their bench, because there are four rookie filmmakers that I think 3 of the 4, it's their first feature film. They're all pretty good. They're lightweight for Blumhouse fare, but they seem like TV movies. But one is called The Lie, which is about a girl who she basically kills her best friend and tells her her father, and then the parents try to cover it up. And then there's one called Black Box, which is about a guy who he lost his memory in like a car accident, and he's going through this therapy to regain his memory. And then there's Nocturne, which is about two twin girls. They're pianists, and one of them is better than the other. So the one who's not as good wants to find out a way to compete with her sister, and it gets supernatural. And then there is Evil Eye, which is about a Indian woman who meets a man who she thinks is his perfect man, but then her mom thinks it's the reincarnation of a dude who tried to kill her 30 years before. So they're pretty good little movies. Black Box is easily the best of the bunch. And it's kind of derivative of another Blumhouse movie that it'll spoil it if I say what it is, but it's kind of cool that Blumhouse didn't just stick a part 2 on it, because they easily could have. They could have said, this is blank part 2. And people would have totally bought it. So it's kind of cool that they let it be its own thing. But yeah, they're pretty strong. Black Box is the best of the 4, but they're all pretty strong. They're all pretty good, and they're free on Prime. They're cool. It's a good way to kill 6 hours. They're about an hour and a half each. So there you go. Speaking of the drive-in, you been at the drive-in, Jacob?
Yeah, well, last week was the last week of Beyond Fest, so I got to see a bunch of stuff premiere. Like, I was at the world premiere of, speaking of Blumhouse, Freaky, the Vince Vaughn slasher body swap movie. And it was really good. I thought it was made by... it was directed by the same guy, Christopher Landon, that did Happy Death Day. So, yeah, he's really got a niche for these kind of 80s comedy/horror mashups. And I know Korea wasn't really a big fan of the Happy Death Day movies, but I think he'd be a bigger fan of Freaky, especially because big difference is Happy Death Day movies were all PG-13. Freaky is a hard R. Like, they go full out with the gore on this one.
So Happy Death Day was Groundhog's Day, and Freaky is Freaky Friday, right?
Correct.
Basically.
I mean, yeah, they really leaned into it with this one.
I mean, first of all, I might not be a big fan of Happy Death Day, but I am a big fan of Vince Vaughn playing serial killers, so,
And also a teenage girl trapped in a serial killer's body.
Yeah, that's always fun. But, right, yeah, because, James, you remember the Psycho remake, right? Remember Vince Vaughn in that?
I had forgotten about it until you just reminded.
Yeah.
What else has been going on? What else has been happening at the drive-in?
Well, probably my favorite movie out of Beyond Fest was Psycho Goreman PG from Steven Kostanski from Astron 6, and oh my god, it was so wild. It was basically like E.T., but what if it was like one of the Cenobites? So, like, these two kids find this, like, ancient demon overlord in their backyard, but they're able to control him with, like, his magic jewel. So they force him to become his best friend, or their best friend. So there's a lot of, like, wacky gags in it, and a lot of it's practical effects. But yeah, like PG is just very happy to kill or like subject people to fates worse than death with his cosmic powers, and it makes for a lot of great like set pieces. That's his name, PG. Yep, short for Psycho Goreman.
So like E.T. to extraterrestrial. That's
exactly.
So really it's leaning into the E.T. thing. It's not even an accident.
Oh no, it's definitely. Okay. A bit of a reference to that, except E.T. didn't want to slaughter the human race, as far as we know.
He did in Extra.
Oh yeah, that's true. Extra, he did kind of go all murder.
Extra fucks. Like that is a movie that, like, it's so weird. Like, I can't describe Extra. I love Extra. Like,
I love Extra.
Oh, I love Extra too.
Awesome.
Well, I mean, I love the movie Extra. I did not like Extra 2, but I do like Extra 3.
I still have yet to see the sequels. But Second Sight in the UK put out a really good Blu-ray for Extra. So if anyone's, I don't even think you need to be region free. I think it's a region free disc, but it's well worth getting it. They have like 3 different cuts of Extra, which is like way too many cuts of Extra.
There's no such thing as too many different versions of Extra.
And it is cool.
It's kind of pricey though, isn't it? Isn't it like $70 or something like that?
I think if you get the limited, like comes in like a hard case and stuff, but I got the standard release from them for like £12.50 or something like that. So like less than $20. But like again, it's 3 different cuts of the film. There's a bunch of extras. It's a nice little set.
Okay, that's not expensive. I thought I was priced out of getting that, but okay. Cool.
Yeah, if you check out amazon.co.uk, they might be shipping it this time. I know Second Sight doesn't always, but if you can't get stuck, here's some advice for you folks out there who want to import Blu-rays during the pandemic, because sometimes places don't ship out to you. Looking at you, amazon.co.uk. Zavvi is not too bad. They're shipping. If you're gonna buy from them, get a few items at a time so that you get a sturdier box. If you just get one, it's not the sturdiest box, and it's coming from overseas. So just remember that.
Although, speaking of home media, I think we got to talk about the big one this month. The Friday the 13th box set came out.
Oh yeah.
No, we don't. Okay, I'm excited for this set, but I'm fucking sick and tired of everyone on social media. Okay, guys, we get it. Everyone got their Friday the 13th sets. There was a few mistakes made on it. We don't need 30 posts a day about it. Like, Jesus, this has become more annoying than political ads at this point, and we're almost in fucking November. Like,
I don't think we need to go into the issues that were with the discs, but one thing I do want to say is, Scream Factory, if you're listening, wouldn't it be cheaper to hire a decent QC department than to send out all these replacement discs all the time? Because this is not even close to the first time they've had this issue with a release and they've had to replace discs. It's like, and this isn't just audio tracks being swapped like on Dead Ringers, or something. This is literal scenes missing from movies. So, but the link is up to get your replacement discs already. I don't know if you guys saw that. So you can already go and request your replacement disc. So they're not dragging their feet on it, which is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really noticed any issues, but I'm definitely keeping that in mind. But I mean, I was just going to say I like the box set, and
it's a gorgeous box set.
It is a beauty, and I never had any of the post Paramount Friday the 13th movies except for the remake. But I mean, like, there's just so much material to go through, and they did a good job on the special features for the first few movies, because I think there was some kind of copyright thing with, like, they couldn't really add newer special features to some of the later movies, because some of the later movies in, like, Freddy vs. Jason and all that are basically transfers of the other Blu-rays, but a lot of good stuff on the earlier Friday the 13th movies, like Friday the 13th parts. I'm trying to remember. I think parts 1 through 4 got new 4K transfers, and they look stunning.
Yes, I mean, speaking of the remake, I mean, we were talking about this in our little chat room. It's basically, I think that they just bought a bunch of discs from Paramount and put them in the box set.
Yeah, it's just a killer cut of the Blu-ray that Paramount put out.
So I don't know if there were no more special features. Maybe that disc is perfect as it is, and that's why they put it in there, or maybe there's some contractual thing. But maybe Paramount's like, we'll let you release this set, but you have to buy a bunch of these from us.
Well, I mean, like, there's 2 things. I've heard that it is, some contract stuff, for the later ones, which is why they're reusing the old disc. But also, I've been finding a lot of Friday the 13th killer cuts at Dollar Tree. So maybe they're just like, we have way too many of these fucking discs. Please just we won't let you do anything else with them. Just take the disc. But they do have a couple of features on the bonus discs for them, I believe, right? I'm waiting until November for Friday the 13th to crack into my set. So this month I'm doing Halloween movies and Halloween themed movies. So Friday the 13th is next month. But going back to Beyond Fest though, I did go see the premiere for Saint Maud, the new A24 film.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see Saint Maud.
No. The exact reaction, James. Oh my god. It is a phenomenal film. Like, this is I hate the term elevated horror.
I have had the rug pulled out from under me twice so far in that. They had a screening set, an in-person screening set when they closed the world down. And then A24 dangled a screening link in front of me.
Yeah.
And then they postponed the release, so that never came. And I'm dying to see this. I'm like, really? Why you got to do this to me, A24?
Well, I don't know when it's coming out now, but I hope it's soon because I really want to see that movie again. It is absolutely phenomenal. It's a nice, slow burn, but like that kind of really reminds me of films like Audition, where you're really just like sticking with these characters through the whole thing, and then the fucked up shit doesn't come until the end. But there's little things that. But unlike movies like Audition, where it kind of plays out like a totally different movie and is kind of boring at parts to kind of like mess with you, this one, it just keeps you involved in this character's life for like that entire duration of the film, and it's enthralling the entire time. Like, my eyes were glued to the screen, and it's so effective, and that those last few moments of that film just blew me away of just like, holy shit. So it's highly recommend. It's absolutely phenomenal. Like, if you love Hereditary, Midsommar, all those, like, this is right up there with them.
I saw a movie that it's not. While I was watching it, I thought that it might be vaulting to my favorite of the year, but it kind of plummeted down to about number 4. And I think I'm embargoed, so I can't say too much about it, but The Dark and the Wicked.
Which one's that?
That's the new Brian Bertano movie.
Oh, right. Yeah, that was playing at Beyond Fest. I didn't get the chance to see it, though.
Brian Boitano? Like the figure skater?
Bertano. The guy who did The Strangers and Mockingbird and The Monster.
Got you. Okay.
It is.
Brian Boitano's making horror films. That's an awesome Olympics figure skating career.
This movie, and hopefully, if I am breaking embargo, they don't mind, because I'm not going to say anything negative about it. Usually, embargoes are bad review embargoes. This movie, it reminded me a lot of It Comes at Night. So if It Comes at Night bothered you, The Dark and the Wicked might too. But there's a little more story to The Dark and the Wicked, whereas It Comes at Night was just a lot of people, sitting around in the dark talking. It's about this brother and sister who come back home because their father's dying, and shit happens around the farm that their dad lives in, and it's a crazy movie. But I had so much fun with it. It's not a fun movie, but that probably says more about me than the movie that I had fun with it, because it's a pretty dark and disturbing movie. But it's much more supernatural than The Strangers, and it's not as creature feature as The Monster. So I think he's just he's branching out. It's very occult and supernaturally, but it's pretty good. I think it might be number 4 on my list. Sputnik is still number 1.
Sputnik is so good.
Yeah, I still got to see that.
Oh, Sputnik's so good.
And I did do another festival this week. Did you guys hear about Nightstream?
No.
Yeah, well, basically a bunch of smaller film festivals like Boston Underground Film Festival and Brooklyn Horror Fest teamed up to do a virtual kind of conglomeration of their festivals over the last week. So, you basically buy a pass or rent movies online. I got to see a few cool things, like probably one of the big highlights for me was this all-puppet horror movie called Franken Zed, which it's like if Jim Henson made a gothic splatter movie, because it's like about this Frankenstein's monster and this zombie that live in this old castle, and like the villagers are preparing to wipe them out. So it's kind of like a weird Universal Monsters buddy movies, but also with a lot of gore and puppet mutilation.
Nice.
Now, what kind of puppets? Are they like Muppets or are they like marionettes?
Yeah, more Muppety.
Okay.
A little bit kind of like that Leica, kind of style. I don't know the exact term, but like those, like they've got like bigger monster puppets.
So like, is it stop motion then?
No. It's puppetry.
Oh,
okay.
So it's basically the Muppets.
Okay.
But with more decapitation.
Which is what the Muppets needed anyway, so I'm in.
Oh, yeah.
Muppets don't need more decapitation. Muppets are perfect the way they are.
And I also saw this great repertory screening of a movie that I never heard about, but I'm glad I found out about. Okay, so let me just set it up. It's like there was some Japanese fans of The Evil Dead who wanted to do their own kind of Evil Dead movie, but they were like, what if Ash was super swole? So that's how we got Bloody Muscle Bodybuilder in Hell.
That's the name of the movie?
That is the name, Bloody Muscle Bodybuilder in Hell. I think it took the directors like 10 years to make, so it's from like 1999 and was released in 2009. Okay. And it's basically about this Ash-ish character who is a bodybuilder, like goes to investigate this haunting with like his girlfriend and the psychic guy, and a lot of Evil Dead style possession splat stick happens, but he's super muscular, so he's able to fight the demons with his fists.
What's the name? Say the name again so people can get it in their head.
Bloody Muscle Bodybuilder in Hell. And he even does the groovy thing at one point in English.
That's awesome.
Oh, is it subtitled?
Yes, it is.
Most of it? Okay, but he says groovy in English.
Yes, he does.
So if you had any question as to the influence behind this movie up to that point...
Oh, no, they're very upfront about it. And it even does those kind of Sam Raimi montage cuts, like when he's like putting something together, it does those like quick cuts.
Nice.
And one other one I wanted to mention is like this, I think it's Australian-American co-production called Bloody Hell, which is basically about this ex-con who decides after he gets out of prison to find something new for himself. So he goes on vacation to Helsinki, Finland, and he's abducted by a very Wes Anderson-ish cannibal clan. And it is just bonkers. Like it has some great build up, and like the finale is just so just over the top. Like I rewatched the last 15 minutes like 3 times.
Nice.
And speaking of the Evil Dead influence, like the lead character does kind of have a Ash sensibility about him, just being in and over his head, and it's played by Ben O'Toole, and his character's name is Rex, and
nice.
that like I'm not sure when that's coming out, but when it does, I recommend it.
Awesome.
Anything else that we need to talk about before we get to the topic?
Yes. If you guys are ever interested in watching a drag reality competition show, I got really into the Boulet Brothers Dragula. It is fucking awesome. Like, first of all, like, I like drag. I like going to drag shows and stuff. But, like, RuPaul's Drag Race was always too clean for me. That wasn't the type of drag that I've been to. The type of drag that I've been to is always very underground, very dirty, very cheap to go to. Cheap, strong drinks and all that. And that's what Dragula is. And it's fucking awesome. Everything's horror themed. Everything. They do little horror skits when a contestant gets eliminated. They do like a little short horror film of them dying in different ways. Wow. It is so much fun, and it's got it all. It's got awesome drag shows with great horror influence all throughout, and they're actually they have season 2 and 3 on Netflix, and then Shudder's gonna do a 2-hour movie where they bring back contestants from the first 3 seasons and have them compete to be a part of the 4th season, but it was all filmed during quarantine, so it's going to be very interesting how they managed to do that. But yeah, Dragula, it's filthy gorgeous, that's for certain.
Have either of you guys watched that documentary? It's like a true crime documentary on Netflix. It was the big craze. I think it's called An American Murder.
Oh, I heard about it. I didn't watch it though.
No.
It is. I mean, if you like true crime stuff, it's a case that has been covered actually quite a while. We sat down to watch it, and I remember like right in the first 5 minutes, I was like, I listened to this episode of Sword and Scale, and my wife is like, I think I saw this 48 Hours mystery. You know, I mean, it's been covered before, but this goes way more in depth. It's about basically a woman who disappeared, and her and her kids disappeared. And of course, it's not just a disappearance because, you know,
it's an American crime.
And they tell you, I think it's called an American murder. They tell you right in the title, you know, this woman didn't live. But it's a pretty crazy how it unfolds. So if you like true crime, that kind of thing, this one's for you.
That reminds me, I got to watch the new Unsolved Mysteries more. I've watched the first few episodes when it first dropped, but fell off.
Yeah, it had some good ones.
Let's move on to our topic, and I'm going to let Korea introduce it because it's more in his element. So take us to our topic.
It's his baby.
It's my baby. I'm going to let Korea take over this because that fucker watches way too much goddamn TV. I almost said I was doing pretty good on not swearing today, and then I remembered everything that I said for the last half hour, and I'm like, no, I've definitely been swearing this episode.
Don't worry. I check the explicit box every week on us.
One of these days we'll do one where I don't swear. That's not true.
But then I'm going to swear the whole time, so we'll still have to check that box.
Yeah. So the topic this week that I wanted to discuss was when TV shows do Halloween episodes. So this is like, you know, it could be like an everyday sitcom, but they just do a Halloween themed episode. And who does it well? Who doesn't do it well? What are some classics in our heads? And well, I want to cover like probably the weirdest and most out there one, and that's Family Matters.
Yes.
Family Matters had just went. Okay, so there's always sitcoms that like do it where it's like, oh, it's Halloween, and they just have like a normal story play out, but like characters wear costumes, you know, or they'll be like, oh, this episode is centered around a Halloween party. No, Family Matters went fucking bonkers, right? And they were like, oh, hey, so we got it's second season, right? So this is when the Urkel takeover happens. So the first season it plays off pretty like a normal.
Is this the one with the puppet Urkel?
Yeah,
the Halloween one.
Not just puppet Urkel. His name is Stevel because he's evil Steve.
Evil Steve.
That's right.
Stevel.
That's right.
And so again, this show played out like a normal sitcom until second season when Urkel completely took over. But with the Stevel episode, the entire episode is like a perfect metaphor and embodiment of that Urkel takeover of the entire show, because this evil doll Urkel is murdering the entire family. Like there's a point where one of the characters is like chopped up and put in the cupboards there, and like and it's really creepy because it's kind of like the doll kind of plays out and looks like the dummy from Goosebumps, but they also very hilariously, because it's not done so well, have like intercuts of like a little person or a small child dressed as the dummy chasing after people or moving in some of the shots. It's very weird, and at the very end it's revealed that it's just a dream, or is it, you know? But it's totally weird.
Well, the fact that everyone he killed came back the next week tells you that it was.
well, but the doll might be real. We don't know. But it's just so weird that they went so hard on like, here's this evil little shit murdering people. There's no blood, obviously, but like he's going around murdering people, and then it's just a dream, and it's like, why is Urkel having this dream? And it's just so weird with the timing as well. Like I said, with Urkel's takeover of the show, like it's just such a bizarre episode that like was pretty intense for TGIF, you know? So that's my vote for weirdest fucking Halloween episode.
There was one, and most of the ones that I don't watch much current TV. It's all stuff from, you know, the 90s and before. But I remember that there was a Halloween episode of Dawson's Creek where I think the power went out and the kids are all just sitting around telling ghost stories or like creepy stories. And at the end, Jen's grandma comes in and tells one. And then, you know, as they're leaving, she just gets this creepy look on her face and there's candles all around. And it was really kind of scary that this old woman is like, okay, kids. And I mean, Dawson's Creek was kind of one, not really a feel good show, but it was one of those corny shows. But that episode, from what I remember, I'm like, this one's actually, you know, in the right environment, it could raise some goosebumps.
I don't want to wait
for our lives to be over. We were all thinking it. As for me, like I've been kind of over and around on sitcoms over the years, but I think probably the most memorable for me were the Halloween specials on the show Community. Did either of you guys watch Community?
Yeah, dude. They always had such great Halloween episodes, and they always had awesome gags too. Like, do you remember, like, I think it was over multiple seasons, the Beetlejuice joke?
Yes. Oh my god, like that was like Community always gets lauded for, it's very heady jokes, but yeah, that was something, because like each season, whenever they did a Halloween special, somebody would say Beetlejuice once, and then once they got like 3 seasons later and somebody said it for the third time, like a Beetlejuice guy actually walked by in the background.
Yeah, but you have to know that he's there. He's like through a window in the back.
Yeah.
Total inside joke. Yeah.
But in terms of the episode themselves, like my favorite is definitely Epidemiology, aka the zombie apocalypse episode, which where like the dean is so cheap for his Halloween party, he buys like discount meat from an army surplus store, but he accidentally buys like some government bioweapon that causes everybody who eats it to turn into zombies, and when they turn to zombies, they bite other people and turn them to the zombies. So it's a Halloween party like zombie outbreak while everybody's in costume. And so it is kind of funny to see Chevy Chase go zombie and bite people, including Starburns,
which is really weird because like it's not like Steve-O where it's like, oh, this was just a dream, everyone turning into zombies. Like they actually, it's like the canon of the show. Yeah. Like people were actually biting. They weren't like flesh eating, they were just biting people, but it's still weird to think like they did a zombie episode and had it be canon. Like, but that's Community. They did crazy shit like that all the time.
Exactly.
It wasn't a dream.
Yeah, and another episode I liked was they were trying to figure out which among them was a psychopath, because like they had taken some kind of some kind of mental test, so they decided to try and figure out who among them was like crazy by like trying to tell scary stories. So it was kind of like the Dawson's Creek thing, except it started to be very personal between them, and like they were kind of letting their own kind of neuroses and quirks run wild in their stories, because like each one was supposed to be about like a slasher or killer or something.
I love it when shows don't just do one Halloween episode. Like it becomes like they have an episode every season for it. Bob's Burgers is another great example of Halloween episodes from like I think it's season 3 on. And what's so great about Bob's Burgers is that they typically didn't try to do like making a horror film Halloween episode, like where it's not like, oh, we're doing this, like it's just legitimately like them celebrating Halloween. So like the first episode is the kids going trick-or-treating, and then they end up going to like the rich island towns Halloween thing, and they're like, oh my god, everyone's got full bars, and then they're like running from bullies and stuff. But like it's just like genuinely fun like Halloween in that. But Bob's Burgers just whimsically charming anyway, so them doing Halloween is just perfect blend.
Yeah, I like their Halloween special last year where they did kind of a Nightmare on Elm Street parody where Tina is freaked out because she had to dissect a fetal pig for science class, and the ghost of the fetal pig is haunting her dreams on Halloween.
The fetal pig.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah. And taking it a step back, another Halloween special I particularly like from a series I kind of followed was the Halloween special from Boy Meets World, where they did a whole Scream thing. Because people forget just, how big of a phenomenon Scream was in the 90s, and, like, how everything became meta-horror after that, even, like in these parodies and stuff. Because it's basically like the cast is all in detention. Mr. Feeney puts them all in detention for a variety of things, but then, like, he disappears, and, like, somebody over the loudspeakers of the high school is threatening them, and they start getting picked off one by one by a mass killer. And they even do a great gag where, like, a character is stabbed in the head with a pencil, and like he falls down to the wall, and his name was Kenny, so they go, "Oh my God, they killed Kenny," and it also has one of my favorite.
You bastards!
Well, they couldn't say that part, but
This is Boy Meets World.
They also have just this great follow-up gag where because he was stabbed for the head with a pencil and like it etched on the back of the wall behind him. They're like, well, at least we'll always remember that Kenny was that tall.
Oh, that's a good one.
We can't we can't have this topic without talking about the Simpsons Treehouse of Terror.
I was wondering who was going to bring it up.
Treehouse of Horror. Okay, it every year you talk about every year that Bob's Burger does one. Treehouse of Terror.
Horror.
A Treehouse of Horror. I'm going to keep saying that. Treehouse of Horror is one that people actually look forward to, and they say it's coming this week, and it's kind of like they're not canon because things that happen in it, like people get turned into creatures or they get killed and chopped up and stuff, and then they're back the next week. So they don't they're kind of like dream logic, but they rip off anything and everything. I mean, I can't think of a Twilight Zone that they haven't ripped off in Treehouse of Horror, and classic horror movies and and not classic horror movies. That's part of the fun of watching that is what are they ripping off this time?
Anything can happen.
Yeah.
Oh, Treehouse of Horror is like the one reason to like is like the one episode people go back to watch when a new season comes out. They're like, it's a new Simpsons, but new Treehouse of Horror. Fuck yeah.
I also love that Guillermo del Toro directed the opening of one of the Treehouse of Horror intros a couple years back. Remember that?
It was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I still because we've been going back and trying to watch a sitcom horror film like almost every day. Or a sitcom horror episode, and we rewatched the first Treehouse of Horror, and that is still super solid. Like the best adaptation they did was Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven, and it just had like
nevermore.
Eat
and
my shorts.
And it was Bart as the Raven with Homer chasing him around, was just pure fucking gold. I mean. And then
was it James Earl Jones that did the narration too?
Yeah, he did that.
Yeah. So you got Darth Vader reading Poe with Homer chasing Bart.
Pretty much
screaming, "You little!" repeatedly.
Why you? Nevermore.
And it also had one of my all-time favorite Simpsons lines. It was like, well, I guess people were just a lot easier to scare back in the 19th century. Oh yeah, it's like when you look back at the original Friday the 13th, it's pretty tame by today's standards.
Yeah.
It also is one of my favorite when they did The Shining.
Oh, The Shinning.
Yeah, that's the one. Groundskeeper Willie, he says, you got the shinning, and Bart's like, don't you mean The Shining? He's like, shh, do you want to get sued?
Who could forget the classic when the aliens come and they're bringing them to dinner and stuff, and they're like, we found this cookbook, how to cook 40,000 humans.
How to cook for humans, how to cook 40 humans, how to cook for 40 humans.
Yeah. Oh, there's more space dust on the book.
Damn space dust.
And actually I rewatched that one the other day where Nightmare on Evergreen Terrace, where Willie is Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
Groundskeeper Willie.
Yeah.
The funny thing about that Shinnin one is he comes back in all three of the episodes. I'll show you the way out. Oh, I'm bad at this.
Yeah, and he gets an accent backward time. Well, yeah, that's the thing. I love the time travel one where Willie appears to Homer, who's like stuck in a time travel loop because of a toaster. It's like, you're still not back at your own time, Homer. I can get you home, but you gotta do exactly what. And he gets stabbed in the back by Maggie, who then takes out her pacifier, and it's James Earl Jones saying, "This is indeed a disturbing universe."
Basically anything can be improved if you have James Earl Jones voice a baby. Just like throwing it out there. If you find yourself with writer's block, don't know how to end a movie, James Earl Jones voicing a baby saves you every time.
Pretty much. And I've also been watching some newer Halloween specials for newer cartoons. Like this show I like on Cartoon Network is called Craig of the Creek. It's kind of like a kid adventure show. It's mainly about these kids who just hang out at the creek and have adventures. And they had this great Halloween special last year where the kids find a haunted, like a dollhouse in the creek just out in the middle of nowhere, and it's haunted because like the dollhouse, it's like if a haunted house was following you, except it's doll size. So no matter where they go, like they can't escape this dollhouse.
That sounds awesome. By the way, I am absolutely, in the age of streaming, what's really great is being able to not only have access to these episodes, but a few of the streaming services are actually like highlighting them. So like Hulu has their annual Huluween, and they actually have sections where you can go, oh, classic sitcom Halloween episodes, which is what led me to watch the Cheers episode, which it is a classic example of like, oh, it just so happens to be on Halloween. You know, it's one of the characters, he's trying to find love, and they're wearing costumes so they don't really recognize each other the next day and stuff. You know, classic sitcom Halloween story. But
How I Met Your Mother did the exact same thing with one of the guys saying, "But who is she?"
Oh, the slutty pumpkin.
Costume. Yeah.
Man, that show has not aged well.
And when I was younger, you know, I feel like it was Halloween specials for kids cartoons that really started getting me into horror. Because like when I was younger, my all-time favorite was especially Nickelodeon cartoons or Nicktoons. They had a bunch like the Angry Beavers. Had this incredible Halloween special called The Day the World Got Really Screwed Up, which was like just one big shout out to like 1950s B movies, and they actually had Peter Graves and Adrian Barbeau in it. Like I didn't even really know who they were until years later.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh man, it's great. It's like the Beavers are horror movie fans, so like they decide to go trick or treating the day before Halloween for some reason, and they end up at like the house of their favorite Hollywood actor Oxnard Montalvo, and like this meteor crash and it's bringing all the monsters from his movies to life, and Peter Graves is like the voice of this like. Well, you know, like 1950s style B movie general, and Adrian Barbeau is like the love interest for Oxnard Montalvo. And so like they're trying to run away from a monster called the Crawling Spleen, which is like a spleen with a thumb on it. And Adrian Barbeau falls and is like, "Oh, my ankle!" And they get her up and they run again, and Adrian Barbeau falls again, and she says, "Oh, my other ankle!" And they try it again, and Adrian Barbeau falls over again. It's like, "No, oh no, both my ankles." So it's one of those things where like it like really it was just like a love letter to those old school monster movies, which, you know, recursively I then got into.
I love gateway horror stuff. I mean, we were talking about, we had Brian on Duffield the other day for Spontaneous. That was gateway horror, if I've ever seen one. But especially like when you sneak them into kid shows and stuff, and you can like start to introduce like horror things, but in a kid-friendly way. There's so many good like classic horror Halloween episodes for kid shows. We've been hitting up the Disney Plus ones, so we're watching like Kim Possible and Lizzie McGuire, and oh my God, kid shows in like the early 2000s had really low standards for acting abilities, I have to say. Like Lizzie McGuire, my goodness, no one could act their way out of a bag there. But it's still fun to see how they incorporate a lot of these heavy themes. I still say, though, one of the best Halloween episodes for like a non-sitcom show comes from one of the worst seasons of American Horror Story, and that was Freak Show. They had that one episode about freaks in Halloween, and like the freak that comes and he kills one of the freaks.
Oh yeah.
It was such a great episode. It's just such a shame that it's in the middle of like this like pretty bad season that wasted so much good potential. Just it's still worth watching. That's on my list to watch this month.
What about the Roseanne?
Oh, yeah, the Roseanne Halloween specials.
I hesitate to mention it because I'm not a fan of hers lately, but the old Roseanne Halloween episodes were pretty legendary.
Yeah, I never really watched them, although I'd seen like some clip compilations, like all the characters in different costumes, and like they did seem to go pretty hard with the costuming and practical effects.
Well, the family would set up a haunted house for trick-or-treaters, so that's mainly what you got to see, you know, is what they've done, their decorations and stuff, which were for the most part fun.
And speaking of 90s sitcoms, Married with Children had one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Because they actually had Robert friggin' Englund on it as the devil. Like, it was that one where it was like around Halloween, and but Al Bundy was watching football, and because his whole shtick is like he could have been like a major football player, and he's lamenting his lot. And then Robert Englund shows up as the devil to offer to make him a football star in exchange for his soul. So of course he goes for it. And then it leads to a series of events where Al Bundy goes to hell, and then the rest of his family follow him, and Robert Englund just gets to torment them as the devil. And it's just Robert Englund is just having so much fun, you can tell, and it's a good time.
Oh, I forgot about that one. I'm gonna have to add that one to the list. Like I said, I've been trying to watch one every day. So we watched the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia Halloween episode.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too.
It's the one where Dee says she's pregnant, and it's possibly by one of the other cast members. So they spend the whole night like trying to remember in their blackout drunkenness who it was, and it just has this great gag where every time they go back, Dee is becoming more and more like a bird until eventually she's just an emu that just makes a screeching noise when Mac tells his story. That's such a great episode.
My favorite Halloween special from them was the Marine Ponderosa Wedding Massacre. Remember that one?
Oh God, so much milk.
Yeah. Oh God, the milk. Yeah, I love that because Dennis's ex is about to get married to the McPoyles, who are like really gross, and they go to like the woods on Friday the 13th for the wedding, and people start acting weird, and it's kind of like a zombie thing. And Guillermo del Toro actually has a cameo as the leader of the McPoyles, Pappy McPoyle.
Yeah, who's their mom? I love Guillermo del Toro as Pappy McBoyle. That's such great casting, and you can tell he loves being there and playing that role.
Yeah, and he just looks all messed up, like he's got like a milky eye and scars over his face, and like he's wearing like that. I don't even know how to describe it, like a robe. Oh my God, he just goes wild with it.
I think the McPoyles on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia made me lactose intolerant. Like I used to drink milk all the time, and now like my body just has violent reactions, and I think I can safely blame that show for that.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make it appealing.
What else we got? We should start wrapping up. Have we squeezed this? Have we shaken this tree?
Well, one more I'd like to mention. Back on kids' cartoons, I was a big fan of Gravity Falls, which itself was kind of like a supernatural show. But they had a really fun episode called Summerween because the show is set over the course of a summer. So in order to do a Halloween special, they made up a holiday that the town of Gravity Falls celebrates called Summerween. Because the town loves Halloween so much, they decide to celebrate it twice a year, and they have Summerween melon lanterns, and there's this monster called the Summerween Trickster that steals candy, and it's like this creepy scarecrow-looking guy with a pumpkin face. And I just love that too, because I just love the idea that imagine a place that loves Halloween so much they celebrate it twice a year. Like, I would love to celebrate Halloween in the summer.
That sounds like my kind of town.
Same.
Actually, I do have one more, and it's not particularly a Halloween episode, but it's definitely a horror episode. And there's this show called Stone Quackers. I don't know if you guys
I love Stone
Quackers. And it was only on for one season. It was an animated show about ducks, and it was produced by John C. Reilly, who voices like the local town cop in the show. But there's an entire episode where they almost beat for beat do Blue Velvet with the characters, and they get real fucked up with it. Like, they go for it. And even if you haven't seen Blue Velvet, it's still a super entertaining episode. But at the end, they do the classic, oh, it was all just a dream. But like the character that had the dream, she's like, oh, what a nightmare. Why do I have nightmares like that? Oh, well. And then she just like turns to her side bed, eats a bunch of psychedelic mushrooms, like pins her eyes open, Clockwork Orange style, and then just starts watching TV where it starts strobing horrific images.
Yeah,
She's
like blasting heavy metal.
Yeah,
like
it's just
horrible
going,
imagery.
she's like, I don't know why I have such bad dreams. It's I can't recommend Stonequackers to people
Yes,
enough. Like
it was a masterpiece.
I got into that show this year, and I think I've watched that first season at least 3 or 4 times. It's
Yeah.
so
Oh,
good.
and I was also a fan of it was because of that Fox ADHD block, the Lucas Brothers Moving Company cartoon, where the comedian Lucas Brothers had a show, and they did a Halloween special where it was a combination of Tales from the Crypt and Tales from the Hood, where they're going to move a house, and this crypt keeper guy played by Eric Andre tells them a story, and it involves them. It was like a bunch of zombie ghosts chasing after them, and it's just funny hearing Eric Andre is kind of like the crypt keeper.
That's all I want now is just like a Tales from the Crypt style show, but like done from the people who do the Eric Andre show. Like that.
Yes.
That sounds perfect.
I would pay good money to see that.
Oh yeah.
All right, put that out into the world.
It's out there.
If those people are listening. All right, let's get out of here. What are your favorite? I'm sure we missed some because our brains are like Swiss cheese. So let us know what your favorite Halloween episodes of TV shows are. Our theme song is by Restless Spirit, so go rock with them. And our artwork is by Chris Fisher, so go and show him some love. Where can we find you guys on the socials? Jacob?
You can find me on Twitter at Jacob Davison _. That is at JACOBDAVISON _. And also you can find me on Letterboxd as Jacob Davison or Imaginos.
And you, Korea?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Korean Barbecue. That's CORREIAN BBQ. And only thing I want to plug is please go out and vote. For
please vote.
Fuck's sake, go out and vote.
Absolutely. Yes. And make sure that your vote is going into a real official bin.
Yes.
And not a fake one.
Yep, I'm dropping off mine at the ballot box today.
Yep.
There you go.
A real ballot box.
Yes.
Yes. And me, you can find on Twitter at Cinema Verite. That's like verite with fear, so it's FEARITE. You can find all 3 of us at the Ion Horror Facebook page, the iHorror Facebook page, the Ion Horror Twitter, the Ion Horror Instagram, any place else. We're not hard to get a hold of if you want to add us for any reason. We'll be listening.
Yeah.
We'll be waiting for your correspondence. Let us know, how dare you forget the Friends episode where Chandler dressed as the Pink Bunny?
How could you forget the Seinfeld episode where Halloween stuff happened? Sorry, I didn't watch much of Seinfeld.
How could you forget The Office where Michael had 2 heads? Yeah, let's hear all about those. Actually, we just mentioned them, so you can't say we forgot. All right, so we're going to get out of here. We will see you next time. So for me, James Shea Edwards.
I'm Jacob Davison.
And I'm Jonathan Correa.
Keep your eye on horror.